What is up, my ninjas? Shinobi here with another Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls video for you guys, and today we have another Let's Talk Diablo. There's a lot of buzz going on the internet, and you guys may have already seen the title of the video already, and the topic for today is going to be the loot conspiracies in Diablo 3. Now, a lot of people are having their own assumptions as to, how loot works in the game. Is it completely random, like we've been told it is? Or is it something more? Is there drop rates on certain monsters? Is there drop rates on certain items? Is there something more in the game? And if there is, why is Blizzard not telling us? Why do they have to keep this secret? So the reason why this is blown up to be such a big deal, because people have had these theories for a long time now. I've had my own theories, you guys have had your own, and you can leave your comments down below and let me know what you think. That's what the whole point of this Let's Talk Diablo is, a discussion. But why is this such a big deal? Why is this something that even needs to be talked about? People have been talking about this stuff for a while now. Well, apparently Blizzard is deleting threads on their forums for people that are coming up with their own theories on how loot works in the game. So Blizzard responded back as to why they're deleting these, because people are getting really upset. They're like, are you deleting it because I'm telling the truth? Let the truth be heard. Freedom of speech, right? However, they made a response here, so I'm going to read that for you, and I'll have links down below. You can take a look. It says, "We are attempting to avoid a situation where a rumor rampages out of control and becomes a community truth, like a false truth." What this pretty much means here is that they're saying, okay, stop coming up with these crazy, false truths. We're not keeping anything from you guys. We want everybody to, know that it is random. That's just the way that it has been, that's the way it always will be, and this and that and everything like that. So I have my own theories in this situation, and I'm going to discuss them in this video, and I'd love to read what yours are, because I believe personally that it is not random. There is no way, mathematically speaking, that it can be random, 100% random, as far as drop rates go. Obviously, you have factors like efficiency, the gear you have, how quickly, you kill stuff, like efficiency. You have a lot of factors, how knowledgeable you are about the game, which farm routes you do, how many monsters you're killing per hour, things like that, right? If you're in rifts or if you're in bounties and everything like that. But if the game is completely random in its drop rates, then that means that anything that can happen will happen. Which means that I could log in one day and farm all day long and find an insane amount of crappy items. Well, that's happened before. Okay, so that's not really a big case. However, on the other side of the spectrum, because if you assume this side is correct, then you have to assume the other side is correct, because it is completely random, right? Let's get to the next one. Let's say I log in one day and I find 30 upgrades. Out of the 30 legendaries that I farm, I find 30 upgrades. 30 amazing items. You can't carry that many upgrades, but you get what I mean. So, you think to yourself, okay, that means that has to happen, because if the game is truly a random, then anything that can happen will happen. Timmy will log in one day. There are millions of people that play this game, and if Timmy logs in one day and he farms, this situation is going to happen to him eventually. It's going to happen to you eventually. The more you do things, the more the randomness is eventually going to come your way. So it makes you think there has to be some kind of drop rates behind it. And the reason why I think there is some kind of drop rates behind it are multiple reasons, except for obviously the thing that I just said. One word: balance. Balance is the #1 reason why there is drop rates in the game, and they're just not telling us this information. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that if it is completely random and anything that can happen will happen, that means eventually people are going to get geared insane amounts, and it's going to be too overpowered. People are going to have perfect items in the game. How many perfect items have you seen in the game? Not that many, right? And if it is completely random and you do something millions of times because millions of people play the game, eventually someone's going to have a character that is completely geared and perfect. So, makes you think there's got to be something more behind this. There has to be something more. So, the next example that I can give you. When I was talking with Blizzard, I'm not going to name which developer said this or anything like that, but I was interviewing him on my live stream, so you guys probably heard him say this as well too. And we were talking about drop rates in the game. We were talking about which items are harder to find, which items are such and so forth. And he said to me, and he said to all of you guys that were watching the stream, he said that, you know, that amulets, the amulets in the game that have like the, you're immune from cold damage, you're immune from arcane, you're immune from lightning, and you heal through that and stuff, which are really popular amulets in the game, very good amulets. He said that those are the rarest amulets in the game, maybe even the rarest items in the game. If that is the case, then it's not completely random, then there's drop rates. That means that, there has to be some kind of drop rate that says that this item is more rare than this item. How many times have you been farming, and I spent an entire night farming one night and found a bunch of rings and a bunch of two-handers, and all of them are bad. Didn't get SOJs, didn't get, good one-hand swords like Thunder Fury and things like that. How many times has that happened to you? Too many times. And why is that? Balance. They don't want everybody getting completely decked out in the game. Also, when I was talking to Blizzard, he mentioned this one situation where I was saying, okay, well, we were talking about Reign of Royal Grandeur and completing sets and everything like that. And I said, if I'm really going for a set, are the set pieces more rare in the game? Is it more difficult to get them, and these type of things? And he brought up an example talking about how you're going to have to play for X amount of hours, like 120, 150 hours, something like that, to get that like upgrade, that thing that's going to be, really good. And you have to think, okay, so there's an X amount of time that you can spend in Diablo 3 to get certain items in the game, mathematically speaking, because that means there's a drop rate. If there's like a 1% drop rate, you have to play X amount of time to get that item eventually. It means it's going to drop eventually. So you have to think that's kind of a little weird. Like, why would he say that if it's completely random? And in the time and the experience that I've played the game and people that I've talked to, these are just some of the things that I've noticed throughout Diablo 3, that it's not completely random, that there are certain drop rates in the game. They had the one example that was posted on Ink Gamers where a guy came up and posted this whole like graph, like this whole chart of all these different drop rates on certain items for certain classes, and it really buzzed everybody up and got everyone stirred up and like, wow, okay, there is drop rates in the game. Now, I never made a video about that because you don't know how true that can be. Like, what kind of credible information is that? Who is it coming from? What kind of testing did you do behind this? There's a lot more questions that need to be asked before I would, make a video about something like that to know if it is actually true or not. Because, just like data mined information, you can only take it with a grain of salt. You don't know if it's going to be 100% true. So I never really posted a video about that, but that could be true. There could be these drop rates on things. I had this theory for the longest time, and I would play Diablo 3, and I'd play on my monk. And you guys know Dat Mods, he would play on his monk, and he farmed for months. He plays the game a lot. I play the game a lot. Both him and I played on a monk, and we farmed for months. And it took forever before we finally found a Thunder Fury. My girlfriend, on her wizard, found 2 Thunder Furies in the course of a week. Now, if it is completely random, that could happen. However, it made me feel like I've been seeing wizards IDing Thunder Furies more often. And then when that information came out about that chart, it actually showed that wizards had the most chance to get a Thunder Fury, the highest chance to get one. So when an item were to drop, it would be a legendary sword, for instance, and it would say, okay, now which sword is it going to be? It has this much chance to be this much chance to be that, this much chance to be that, and and then you get a Thunder Fury, or you get something else, or something like that. So these are some of my thoughts, guys, and in conclusion, I feel like if it is 100% random, then anything that can happen will happen, and there's going to be players in the game that are just completely decked out to the point that it seems unbelievable, and that's just not the case. It's just really not the case. When there's millions of people that play the game, that should be happening if it was completely random. And there should be players in the game that just don't even file legendary ever until their, 1 hour and a half bonus or something like that, where, it drops and they get their free legendary or something. If that's the only legendary they find, like, all day long, every hour and a half or 2 hours they find that legendary. That could happen. But I've never heard of anybody ever having that happen to them, because I feel like there's something more behind it. And if there is something more behind it, why has Blizzard not talked to us about this? Why is this not public information? Why is this something they keep hidden all the time and say, this is the drop rate for this is the drop rate for that? Make that information exclusive. Make it open to us. Why did they not do that? Well, I have a thought behind that. And my thought is that if they were to say, yes, this is the drop rate of this is the drop rate of that, this is the drop rate of this, and then you farmed for X amount of time and you didn't get that item, I think a lot of people would be upset, because they'd be like, hey, you said that was the drop rate, and I farmed this like crazy and I still haven't got it. People would be upset. So I think that's why they haven't come out and actually talked about the drop rates behind everything in the game. However, there is something more going on in the game. We're not stupid, especially me, someone that's played this game an insane amount of times. I know this game backwards and forwards. I know it better than the back of my hand. And there's just no way that it's just completely random. The math is not there for it to be completely random. Random is probability. It's a random chance that something can happen, and I just feel like it's not the case. But I'm wondering what you guys think, so put them down in the comments below. This is me just rambling about, my thoughts about this and that and everything. And I guess we'll see with time if Blizzard comes out and actually makes an announcement about this and actually says, okay, it is random most of the time, but sometimes, so the game doesn't get overpopulated with good items, we had to put, drop rates on the best items in the game. Okay, then that means that they were telling half the truth before, but at least we have some information. Leave your comments down below, guys. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next Diablo 3 video. Until next time, my name is Shinobi, and thanks for watching.